Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to the videos. Another paid request this time for Phil. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Rescue Dawn, 2006 film, directed by Werner Herzog. Now, that's a guy that I liked his bit. I mean, what was that documentary? Grizzly Man? Where he narrates and he hosts and you see him on camera, and I still remember those words: don't listen to this tape, never listen to this audio. In fact, I think you should burn it. That's a very interesting documentary, Grizzly Man. But he's directed stuff. I think most notable his relationship with that guy Klaus Kinski, which is such a insane relationship when you look it up, because it came to a point where they did a couple films together, but on I forget what movie set, the natives went up to Werner Herzog and said, "Would you like us to kill him for you?" And Werner Herzog had to think about it and said, "No, no, no, don't do that." So that's how bad Klaus Kinski was. The natives like, "We could kill him for you." I think they might have said we could kill him for free. He's like, "No, no, don't do that." But I didn't. I think there was a documentary about that stuff. I never saw that documentary. But if you look up the information, it's definitely interesting. Now, the movie is based on a true story. The true story of this POW, this pilot that was shot down, and his time at this POW camp, and the events that happened during it. Christian Bale is the star, who I do like Christian Bale. My favorite of his will always be Equilibrium. But he's a good actor. I liked him in American Psycho. He was good in Ford versus Ferrari. Done a lot of nice work. You also have Steve Zahn, a bit more of a serious role. I like Steve Zahn. I liked him in Joyride, Saving Silverman. Good actor. Nice to see him do a different type of role. He's a guy who Christian Bale meets at the POW camp. You also have Jeremy Davies, who I remember he was in Saving Private Ryan. He was in other stuff. The thing with his character that's a bit fucked up, I'll get to that in a minute. Does it say that the setup is Bale is a pilot? There's these targets in Laos that are being bombed. We see a bit of his before that happens, where he's having fun with the other officers. They're kind of taking the piss out of movies, survival films and movies, and how that would really work, and the rapport. Marshall Bell is the commanding officer. He was the guy who was the coach in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. He was in Starship Troopers. Been a lot of stuff. So they say he's flying, he gets shot down. There's some nice looking shots of the jungle, some nice sweeping shots of buildings being bombed. But again, he gets caught, he's put in this POW camp. And to be perfectly honest, not much happens at the POW camp. And I'll get back to Jeremy Davies in a minute, but I've seen this film before. I wasn't really a fan of it because, number one, I do think the film feels overlong. And let me ask you something. For a movie about the horrors, the terror, the hardships, the horrors of a POW camp, how much intensity can you get with a PG-13 rating? It's PG-13. How harrowing, how intense, how violent, how anything can you get with a PG-13 rating? Nothing. It's not going to be that rough. It's not going to be that intense. So that's why I didn't feel that way. Because I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, how come I not feel, oh, shit. Okay, it's rated PG-13. It just feels rudimentary. And when you get to the camp, not much happens. He meets the other prisoners. He finds a nail that he uses to get out of his cuffs during the night, so his ankles have a bit of a rest. There's kind of a guard who's kind of nice to them and giving them a bit of rice. They kind of just play cards or talk estate plans, and Jeremy Davies shuts them down, saying, "I'll tell on you if you do it." And that's the thing that's fucked up. Jeremy Davies is playing a character based on a real life person with the same name. And apparently the guy this is based on, Christian Bale's character, his book told how Jeremy Davies' character was a stand-up guy, was a leader. I think even helped him get that nail to help with his ankles. Like, this was a heroic, guy. And they turned him into a sniveling, coward piece of shit. So of course that guy's family was pissed off, and I don't blame him. Just, the only time this guy's name will pop up will probably be if someone sees his movie and they don't assume, oh, that guy, he was a coward, sniveling piece of shit. He don't tell on his fellow comrades, his fellow soldiers, a traitor. If I was that guy's family, I would be super pissed that this is now how people view a guy that apparently again was a leader, helped rally their moral support, helped our lead guy ease any amounts of pain. That is completely irresponsible. Apparently later on Werner Herzog apologized for that, but the damage is kind of done. You sure thought about that? Obviously they added that in for drama effect. And that's the thing with any fucking movie with a true story. There's always going to be a bunch of bullshit in it. So there's a part of that, why the fuck do we even tell these true stories when they're not true? Or you take the nugget of truth and then you wrap all a bunch of bullshit around them. So, okay, granted it's just to have it entertaining. Then just, you might as well just have completely different characters, completely different, just have the same events happen. Say loosely based, but then do your own thing. Since entertainment is the only thing you want to showcase. You don't really want to showcase what really happened. And then, result, you get bullshit like this, where this guy was a peacekeeper, a strong leader. That's the quotes from the guy Christian Bale played. Now people think he was a coward. And Werner Herzog had a hand in writing the film, too. So, yeah, I know he probably, but that's fucking reckless and irresponsible. So that has a bit of a sour taste. Character assassination on the guy when he didn't do anything wrong. And again, there's not a lot happen except they're fed worms and Christian Bale eats it and he's smiling as captors, Christian Bale calming Steve Zahn down because Steve Zahn's losing it more and more. Yeah, this guard is be a bit nicer than the others. Until ultimately they do escape. This plan where these guns will be held here, because these guns will be held here, we could do this. Well, at least they escape. And even that is like, okay, Bale and Zahn through the mud, they deal with some water, they deal with some leeches. Then they get to some villagers who cut Steve Zahn's leg. He gets killed. It took me a fucking minute. I remember when I first saw this. It took me a minute to realize that they had cut off Steve Zahn's head. Because it's fucking PG-13. You couldn't see shit. Had to take a fucking full minute for it to realize what happened. That they had decapitated him. So Christian Bale gets a machete. Get away from me. And then he walks a bit. At one point he imagines Steve Zahn's with him when he's not. Gets to safety. Gets back. End of movie. I can appreciate Steve Zahn. Steve Zahn as well. But I can appreciate Christian Bale being thin. Like the other actors, putting that toll on their bodies. Granted, I already saw that with The Machinist, which was a more interesting story that Christian Bale was in. That was even a lot fucking thinner. Deathly thin. And again, more interesting story, more intense story. This, I said before, if I think of POW movies, Missing in Action 2, the beginning, I would rather watch, easily. Because it doesn't hold back as much. And you got Chuck Norris grabbing a fucking rat and eating it. Well, no, he's killing it with his teeth. I felt more sorry for those prisoners. Plus, you get that fun escapism action where he's able to flamethrow some fuckers. Uncommon Valor, where the Gene Hackman is a dad trying to get those POWs back and try to rescue them. Much more of a dramatic story. That ending still gets me. I won't spoil it, but that ending, the Uncommon Valor, still gets me to this day. I didn't feel any amount of that emotion through this movie. He got shot down. He was there for a few years or whatever. Felt like he was more going to die of boredom. And again, you cannot showcase how rough and tumble it is with a PG-13 rating. And it felt like not much fucking happened. Christian Bale did not do a bad job. Steve Zahn did not do a bad job. The look of the jungle is very lush, and Werner Herzog knows how to shoot a film. At least in those. The POW camp scenes, anybody could have shot it. Not just Werner Herzog. Like in those scenes, it could have been anybody that directed it. And it just felt really mundane compared to not just survival stories. 127 hours. You're really much more into when the guy's caught, he's trying to figure out how to get out. The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio. There's a lot of other I'll say Gravity with Sandra Bullock. All the different types of survival stories. I felt much, and that was PG-13 in Gravity, and I felt more of a harrowing experience of that compared to this. Because it's like, we can't be too extreme in escapism because it's based on a true story, even though you change shit up, including a character assassination. So you're fine with changing that. So, but we don't want to add too much because it'd be too much, as they call it, Rambo, Mr. Action bullshit. I'm like, you mean movies that are more entertaining? Okay, it's not meant to entertain, but I didn't feel as much emotion as it thought. I'm sure Christian Bale did this, thought he was going to get like an Oscar nomination. I'm sure that's why he did this. I felt, what did this movie do in terms of... I know critics liked it, to be fair. And if you liked it, that's fine. There's other survival stories I prefer. There's other POW stories I prefer. This is 7.3, 90% Rotten Tomatoes, but I honestly don't understand why. I don't mind the two actors, but what great scenes really come to mind in this? He plays Dieter Dengler, a German-born U.S. Navy pilot, shot down February 1966 on a combat mission. His fellow prisoners. I mean, I hate to say it, part of me is like, what made this story so interesting to be told? Or, okay, the real life struggle I appreciate. I don't think it really makes for an interesting movie, though. Sorry, I don't know. Nominated for multiple awards, including a Golden Satellite Award, Independent Spirit Award. What the hell is a Golden Satellite Award? What the fuck is that? Christian Bale won the San Diego Film Critics Society in the category of Body of Work. So okay, so it's body of work, not just specifically for this film. Satellite Awards, International Press Academy. Entertainment Industry Journals and Blogs. Okay. Because I was seeing if it was nominated for any Oscars. It wasn't. Hey, people like the film, that's fine. It's just not my cup of tea. I thought it was very uneventful. I thought it was very boring. I thought, again, there's not much intensity to really showcase with a PG-13 rating. I'm just repeating myself, I know. Christian Bale does fine in the acting, but I've seen better. Ford vs. Ferrari, American Psycho, The Machinist, Equilibrium even. Steve Zahn, okay, he does a little bit different, but I could see that in Joyride, among other movies. And yeah, the jungles are nicely shot. I can see that in Predator. If you love the film, that's fine. It ain't for me. We'll see you guys later.